Hello and welcome to my July 2013 video game pickups video. This has been a very slow month in terms of new releases, so I thought instead of just like waiting for new releases in the next couple of months, I thought I would take this time to get some older stuff that I've been wanting to get for a while. And yeah, I'll start with the one GameCube game I got this month, but it's a pretty good one, it's a pretty rare one as well. And that is Skies of Arcadia Legends. Now this was originally released on the Dreamcast, but I believe this is a sort of slightly enhanced version with new levels, new characters and things like that. And yeah, it's quite difficult to get a complete copy, and because usually it goes from up to £60 or something like that. I managed to get this for around 40, which is pretty good. There's some slight damage to the back of the manual, slight water damage there, but you know what, the actual inside is perfectly fine, so yeah, it's not that big of a deal. The disc is fine as well, so yeah, very happy to finally own this game. Next up is a rare one, which is an Xbox game, original Xbox game. And it's something of a cult hit, and that is Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse. And I played this for a couple of hours, and it's pretty fun actually. It kind of reminds me of Destroy All Humans in a way, where you're sort of fighting against like humans. You have certain special abilities and stuff like that. And yeah, in this game you can obviously turn humans into zombies, but also use those zombies you make to your advantage against like other humans, like cops and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty unique game. It's not the greatest game in the world, but yeah, it's pretty fun. Next up is Xbox 360 game, and that's Left 4 Dead. And I've also got the second one, and I just kind of wanted to pick up the first one as well, or get it back, I should say, because I played this a lot when it was new. And although I prefer the second one with its melee combat and stuff, I still really like this one too. And yeah, it's fantastic multiplayer, like the other one as well. So yeah, if you've not played it, then first of all, where have you been? And second of all, you must give it a go. Okay, I've got a couple of PS2 titles. The first one is Virtua Tennis 2. In my opinion, not as good as Smash Got Tennis Pro Tournament 2, but as I've probably mentioned before, Virtual Tennis is a game that I feel that the Dreamcast and also the arcade was its sort of natural home. But this is only like £1, so I thought I'd pick up, you know, just for the hell of it. It's a decent game though. Next up we have Rise to Honor, which was recommended to me by a good friend of mine. And what's interesting about this one is it's a sort of combat game similar to Sleeping Dogs, like hand-to-hand combat. But what's interesting about this one is that you use the analog sticks, the right analog stick in particular, to like punch and kick. And yeah, it's kind of unique compared to a lot of other like combat games. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. Next up we have Clock Tower 3. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I was never like a huge fan of survival horrors growing up, but I kind of want to sort of pick up the ones that I sort of missed and basically sort of man up and just give it just like try them at least. And I feel like this is one of the ones that's going to be like the ultimate test, because it's one of those sort of survival holes where you have like virtually no weapons, and you're up against something that's not gonna stop to not gonna hesitate, I should say, to kill you. So yeah, I will get around to it eventually. But yeah, I'm a bit of a pussy when it comes to those type of games. And finally on the PS2 we have Shadow Hearts Covenant, or Shadow Hearts 2. And yeah, but I bought the first Shadow Hearts last month, so I thought I'd pick this one up as well. It's funny, I was in CEX in sort of early July, and I was sort of picking out these sort of decent-ish titles, and then all of a sudden I spotted this, and I sort of instantly put a lot of stuff back just to get this game. And thankfully it is complete with the manual as well. It also comes on 2 discs, which both of which are in my wallet right now. And yeah, it looks fantastic from what I've seen on videos. And once I finish the first one, I'll get around to this as well. And finally, I've got a lot of PS1 games to get through, because I've sort of had a bit of a habit this month of sort of picking up old PS1 games for cheap. The first 2 are from a good friend of mine who managed to make a decent deal with. He recently picked up a few of these games at a boot sale, and I was like, if you don't want them, I definitely do. So yeah, we sort of struck up a deal, and I gave him a fair price for both of them. Okay, and the first one is Oddworld: Abe's Odyssey. I have Abe's Exodus, and yeah, it's nice to own the first one finally. So yeah, fantastic. And the other one he sent me was Resident Evil 2, which in my opinion is one of the best Resident Evil games ever made, and probably one of the best games ever made as well, for its time at least. And yeah, everyone loves this one, so yeah, and I kind of love it too. Next up we have another game series I've finally managed to get complete now, and that's Fear Effect 2. As I have Fear Effect 1, I've been playing for it recently. I'm on the final disc, and yeah, it's one of those games like Metal Gear Solid, where it's very sort of cinematic, and throws in a lot of interesting ideas in there. It's kind of like Oddworld or flashbacks, stuff like that, where it's sort of you make a mistake and you get like this cool sort of like death sequence, and then like a game over. So yeah, they are pretty good. They're kind of frustrating in places, especially because like you can only save at certain areas. And I remember on like the 3rd disc of the first game, you sort of saved right at the very start, and you had to do like this whole sequence, which was very sort of buggy, and then you get past that and you can't save until you do this a sort of special like puzzle sequence. If you don't do that, you die, and then you have to start over. So yeah, they're pretty frustrating. Once you get through them, you kind of enjoy the story though, and that's sort of what pulls you through it in the end. So I was sort of rambling there. Next up we have Silent Hill, another classic PS1 title. There's a couple of little cracks in the case, but nothing too, over dramatic. But yeah, I have like Silent Hill 1, 2 and 3, which is probably one of the best trilogies you can own. So yeah, very happy to have this finally. Next up, very similar to, as I mentioned, the Oddworld games and Flashback and what was the other one? Another World or Out of This World, depending where you're from. And that is Heart of Darkness. Very, very it looks very kiddie, but trust me, there's a lot of death sequences in this where you're just like, holy shit, they allowed that. And even more so, I believe in America it was rated E for everyone, and trust me, when you see the videos you will realise how big of a mistake the censors made to that one. But yeah, very similar to the Oddworld games and Flashback, so yeah. Next up we have Parasite Eve 2. Unfortunately, Parasite Eve 1 never made it over to this country. I have no idea why. So it's kind of odd that they sort of released a second one instead, in spite of that. But yeah, it's pretty much like Resident Evil, really, but with sort of, it's kind of similar in the sort of story where everything is like, there's not really like a virus. It's sort of like, it's sort of more like spontaneous combustion, sort of genetic defects in certain people's DNA and stuff like that. And yeah, it's quite a bleak story. I should know because I watched a friend play the first one on a sort of modded PS1. So yeah, I'm not quite as familiar with this one. So which is great because like when I play through it, it's going to be like a new experience. Next up is Dino Crisis, which is actually from the same team behind Resident Evil, and once again it is very much like that series on the PS1. It's quite difficult though, from what I've heard. It's very different from the second one, which was more of an arcade game, whereas this is like very sort of traditional sort of survival horror type game. So yeah, pretty decent. And finally, two games in a popular series on the PS1, and that is Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Now, ironically, I don't have Crash Bandicoot 2, and I say that ironically because that was the only Crash Bandicoot game I owned as a kid, and like the one I played the most. Yeah, it's kind of odd that I own like the other two now and not that one. But yeah, they're pretty fun. They're kind of old school in the sort of platforming nature where you get hit once, unless you have like a certain power up, you die and you have to sort of start the whole stage over again unless you hit a checkpoint. And yeah, the first one in particular is very old school in that you can't sort of really save at any time. You can like in certain areas, but not like after every single level, which is kind of frustrating. But yeah, they're not balls breakingly hard, but they are most definitely a challenge, especially if like you're of the younger generation, I should say. Okay, and that is it for my July 2013 pickups. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're all enjoying the summer, by the way. And although this is all of my collection that I've sort of picked up this month, I have something very special to talk about in the next couple of weeks. A sort of certain system I picked up recently, but I'm going to sort of save it for a separate video. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, I'll see you next time for the video games pickups video for August. And yeah, take care.